Welcome everyone, this is Pineleaf Needles and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey, everybody.
Terry Adwin,
Hi.
Maven,
Hey, y'all.
Aerithert,
Hello, everybody.
and Carvet.
At your service and your families.
Now let's head into our big story of the day. Alright, there isn't a big story for the day, but we do have store sales. So what's on sale this week?
A bunch of junk. Let's see. This week's free sample is Skill and Slayer Deed Boost ×1. Use coupon code SlayerTiereth one time per account. I guess that's a hint that you should finish up your Minas Tirith Slayer deeds. Also, 35% off of stuff you should never spend turbine points on. Legendary level cap increase, legendary item stat upgrade, relic packs, legendary slot unlock, legacy tier upgrade, scroll of combination, relic removal scroll, and legacies. Boo.
Wow, every single thing you don't want.
It would have been really funny if after you said a bunch of junk, Pineleaf just moved on to the next segment.
Well, I like the code because it's Slayer Tirith, but when I first saw it, I thought it said Slayer Birth, and I'm like, ooh, like the epic champion of all times is born to cause orc extermination.
Okay, Carv.
I don't know.
Welcome
That
back,
sounds cool.
Carv.
It's been a long day, and I'm a
Apparently
little,
so.
little wound up, so yeah.
Very well. This week, LOTRO Players News is brought to us by Hornkegger Games.
Gotta train, gotta run, gotta eat, gotta drink. My goodness me. Hornkager Games are coming this September, so I gotta get training. Hornkager Games, pies, ale, balance, riddles, and me. I'm going to eat and drink my way to the top in true Hobbit style. September 5th through the 11th, 2016. Learn more at hornkeggergames.simplesite.com. That's HARNKEGGER games.simplesite.com.
And this is an actual, well, not sponsor because they haven't paid us, but this is an actual ad this week. And it's about the Hornkegger Games.
I want to say that sounded almost exactly like Gonzo from the Muppets.
It was a little bit more gonzo in there than I intended.
That was like a dead-on Gonzo. I was
Yeah,
like,
it was
whoa.
pretty close. It was pretty close.
So, a furry hobbit with a long hooked nose does weird things. I could see that.
Well, then let's head into this week's poll, where we ask the question, would Tolkien approve of LOTRO?
Yes, Pineleaf, we asked the community if Tolkien would approve of LOTRO, and 46%, 104 votes, said yes, he would approve of LOTRO. 29% said maybe, and 24% said no, he would not approve of LOTRO, and there were a total of 224 votes in this poll.
Wishful thinking, I think, on behalf of the yes and maybe people.
I don't think Tolkien would approve of the medium, but I think he would like the stories.
Okay, I will give you that.
If he saw the transcript version of LOTRO, then maybe you would be a bit more okay
He
with
was
that.
interesting, I mean, there were adaptations of The Hobbit, that got put on stage while he lived. He didn't like any of them. I mean, he's just an old curmudgeon.
Well,
I think part of it was it's his world sort of thing, I mean, it's just sort of that. So I don't know.
But he
I mean, I
still
think
allowed them to happen.
Yeah, but I think it was for reasons other than,
Maybe.
artistic generosity. Yeah.
Right. Now, yeah, I once saw one of those stage productions of The Hobbit, and I think it was one of the worst plays I ever saw.
Oh, dear.
So I admit that a lot of that was the production rather than the script. So the script wasn't exactly the greatest one when you're trying to get The Hobbit down into a small 2-act play.
Wow.
But
right,
I know. You know, I'd like to think if we presented it to him right, you know, if somebody
Yeah.
presented it to him right, that I agree. I think he would be satisfied with the stories, and I think he would be happy to also point out where all the flaws in the stories were. You know, I mean, he would like that. He would enjoy doing that. You know, so
I think
I would
at the very
think he would
least,
like
it'd
it.
be safe to say that he'd enjoy hanging out with native lions.
And I think at the very least he'd like
Native
this
lions
more
would like-
than the movie adaptations.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we'd have to hide the Earthkin from him for sure.
Well,
But other than that,
we just
than
move them around. Like the developers are moving them around Lotro while he's looking around.
right.
Turn them into chickens.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just avoid the north.
Well, if we're gonna
South.
do that, you know, avoid the Earthkin, avoid the Rune Keepers, avoid. There's a few things.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's head into Lotro Academy 131, the Lotro Store. And as the title implies, we go over the Lotro Store and what you can get there, how you make purchases. And Terry, you have anything to add?
Nope, because I'm the one who did most of the talking on the episode.
Right.
Makes sense. That
So-
makes sense.
We went over basically the things you can get at the store and probably some of the best things you can get there and some of the things you might want to avoid getting there.
Like LI crap.
Yeah. Or, well, I think we talked about the cosmetics you should and should not get in the episode before that when we talked about cosmetics a lot, of course. So let's head to Critter's Journey, number 35, Fellowship of Food Reserves.
Is it a Hobbit occasion? There are hobbits, yes.
But yes, hobbits are involved, of course. And if
Fellowship
you want,
of Food. Sounds like a Hobbit party.
yes, and if you want to know why they chose that title, I will suggest you go and read the comics, since it would be a bit of a spoiler issue if we explained why I had that name.
I don't know if it's Hobbit related. If there's food reserves, there wouldn't be any food left. That's the Hobbit kinship. Fellowship of no food.
The Fellowship of the Empty Pantry.
Well, I think that's a slight exaggeration on the matter, since the people in the Shire don't starve during the last month of winter or anything like that, so they must know how to have food reserves.
True.
So let's head into Poems of the Pine, Rise of Isengard. And therefore we are now heading into Book 4 of Volume 3. Deep into Dunland we dared not go, till friends we found in the Falcon clan. We helped them prepare for the perils of war, then learned the lay of the lands nearby. The Falcon feigned the friendship it showed, and suddenly sold us to Saruman's keep. There we worked and toiled till we took a chance to escape the claws of the cruel tower. We fought to avenge the Falcon's turn and undo the damage they dealt to us. With the aid of Rohan, the rangers we freed, then we sped to find the spiteful clan. Falcon flew from the fury of the west, as the rangers are in need of rest. Yet the day will come when we'll deal a blow to the faithless Falcon Dunland.
Awesome poem, Pineleaf.
Woo. Now I gotta figure out how to do the Force of Ice in next week, right?
Oh man.
The elves, they died, and again and again and again and again and again.
No, he said Fort of Eisen, not Fort of Bruinen.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Never
Yeah.
mind. Same difference. Whatever. Deeper lore, good Tolkien stuff.
Let's head into our weekend Lotro. And Aerithert, what were you up to?
So, this week, my primary Lotro activity was glumming my way around Erluin with my overzealous and overadventurous granddaughter.
Overzealous.
So basically, Maven and I started a Tolkien trivia night on the Signum University Twitch channel. So every Monday we're going to be doing Tolkien trivia with some sort of giveaway. Actually, this coming Monday is going to be a 500 Turbine Point code gift card thing. So we made dwarves, and I actually really haven't played too much of a dwarf. I have like a dwarf runekeeper, and I was going through the character creator, and my first dwarf that I made, my dwarf runekeeper, I was like, I'm going to make him look like young Dwalin with like this, like the mohawk and like look like a boss. But
Nice.
as I was clicking through options for this new dwarf, there was this one set of eyebrows that was really sad looking, and I was like, oh, I can't not. So I made him this really old, depressed Eeyore of a dwarf.
He
His name
is. He
Glumly.
is. His name's
His
Glumly.
name's Glumly. That's awesome.
And he's tagging along with Maven's dwarf, who's probably much more enthusiastic about this
Her name is
crazy
Marvelous.
adventuring business.
Marvelous the Hunter.
Glumly and marvelous.
Yeah. And Glumly's actually a minstrel, so I just followed along behind him while he killed everything.
I sing like the Viking birthday dirge when happy things go on.
That's right. And then he brought out his tundra bear and named it Sad Poo. So when he
Yeah.
signed off, he said, join us next week for 2 dwarfs and a Sad Poo.
Not enough fiber. Gosh.
So that was massive amounts of fun. And that was pretty much it. But I guess
And our plan
now
is to do that every week until
Yes.
we, something happens.
essentially. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we get to do Tolkien trivia, and some of the questions were actually pretty difficult, believe it or not. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Not a
Well,
good
the
time to get a
embarrassing part was that 2 of the girls of Middle Earth kept getting the questions. They were the first ones to give the right answers, and then Becca, Aerithur's fiance, got the next question, and then the prize was one of the steeds from Turbine, which everybody already had the steed. So Aerithur says, well, I'll raffle it off, and Tracy, who was the person who actually prepared the trivia questions for us, won the steed in the raffle. So it's like, rigged much?
Rigged, 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 rigged.
All right, and Aerithur is having to take a quick AFK for that phone call, and so he does have something to announce, which we'll get back to, but I guess we'll go ahead and go on to the next spot, which is Maven. So go ahead, Maven.
I
Oh,
thought
it is.
Anthony
I
is
thought you
next.
were. I thought you were next.
Well, if you insist. I didn't want to, make myself go. All right, here we go. So, this week I actually checked on the old capital of Rohan for a guy, he's going to be referred to as a guy, who is going to be screaming death in somewhat the near future, probably, in a few days. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you've probably done Volume 4 of the Epic Story. Also, I resumed work on Middle-earth lore, going through and really going after Episode 4. We're about halfway through getting the visuals done for Episode 4. And I also, this afternoon, actually finished basically putting together the music for Episode 5. And so that will be, being done, and it sounds awesome, I think, and hopefully our quality assurance team will think so as well. But really, really excited to be getting back into Middle-earth lore now that Episode 3 reached our view goal. So we'll be releasing Episode 4 sometime in the near-ish future, hopefully before October. So anyway, Maven, what have you been up to?
So now it's my turn. Okay. So as we already reported, I ran around with a depressed dwarf and his sad poo. We were in the introduction, and it was just hilarious because Glumly is a minstrel, and I mean, as everyone knows, I mean, I couldn't the induction time I had. He had actually killed everything, and at that level the quests are only like get 4 of this, 4 of that. So it's like we're talking on the stream and he's just yelling and things are dying and I'm just sort of following along behind him. It was hilarious. I expect that to sort of continue as we level up, but it was really fun. Glordurel we had last week on Girls of Middle Earth, we started our homage to the Olympics by fishing. So we went around and fished places, and I kind of got hooked, especially because Terry got like I think it was four of the trouts from 0 to 4 in a very short period of time on an annuminous pier, and I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. So I've been fishing, I've been hooked, and Big Ed Mustafa, I had asked, had mentored me a few weeks ago. So I've been doing that. I have master angler status, which is 150 out of 200 of proficiency points. I got the trout trophy, and I'm one fish away from the darter trophy. So yay me. I tested tier 1 versus tier 2 soloing icy crevasse on my lore master Maven at 105, level 105, and I decided to just power run tier 1 to get medallions, because it comes out, it's like 2.2 and change per minute on tier 1 and 2.3 on tier 2, but on tier 2 I'm going through pots and buffs and defeats and all kinds of stuff, and it's just like, well, it's cheaper and kind of more fun to do it on tier 1 if I'm going to get basically the same number of medallions per minute. So that was my big math problem this week. Terry Edwin, how about you?
Nope. I was going to say the real question.
Oh, there's Eric there. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. The real question is, what if you go tier 1 3-man?
Oh, forget it. I mean, I can't even tier 1
I'm
2
over
man
here.
on icy crevasse. Oh my gosh.
You know what? I'm over here still going, she's hooked on fishing. She's hooked on fishing. That's great.
Only you, Carve.
But not in real life. Only in Lotro. Yeah, I don't even want to duo icy crevasse. I mean, geez, Louise, as soon as you start getting those mobs of mobs that come in to the end room, it's like, oh my gosh.
That boss fight can get rather strenuous.
Just give me the Mumak and the Sorcerer, and I'm happy. That's it. I keep getting a Blood Rook, though. I swear I'm probably going to hit the 50 mark with the Blood Rook, because every time a new thing goes like, oh, it's the darn bird again. But anyway, not you, Buddha. I don't mean you, Buddha. Sorry, Buddha. That wasn't you I was talking about. So actually, Aerith, I guess I should turn it back to you, because you weren't done yet, right?
Sure. Yeah, sorry about that. I had a phone call. I ordered a pizza for myself for the first time in my life, and it came, and the guy was calling me because he couldn't
Now
find
that's
my apartment.
interesting. He ordered a pizza for the first time in his life. That's like...
No, for myself. I've ordered a pizza before, but never like a pizza with the intent
Oh,
of...
just for yourself. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've never done that before. I've ordered a pizza before. Yeah, that's happened. So yeah, not to just depressify everything, but today actually, like, this will be my my last appearance as a regular host on the LOTRO Players News podcast. I've been here since, I think, late 70s, since February of last year, and it's been absolutely awesome and amazing, and you guys are a ton of fun to hang out with. But it is one of those things where it is time. I've got a full-time job that's actually really kind of time demanding, and energy sapping a little bit. And so it's nice to have kind of not a lot on a weekend necessarily, but between that and planning for a wedding, all sorts of stuff going on. I'm moving in another week and a half, and I should start packing. But so there's a lot going on in my life. I've not actually been playing. If you're entirely super observant, you'll notice that my weekend LOTRO things have gotten a little shorter. I've not been playing LOTRO as much lately, partially because of time, partially but just because it's not super caught my attention a whole lot right now. I feel like once you can just run into somewhere and stand there and your passive heals heal you on a Guardian, it sort of kind of takes the fun out of it when tanking is really the only thing you can do and do well, and tanking has kind of gotten a lot easier with how powerful characters have gotten. So it's one of those things where just sort of starting to kind of not capture my interest as much, and I think it'd be more fun to relinquish my spot in this fellowship for someone who's super enthusiastic about the game and plays it all day every day, or has a life and also plays the game like the rest of people here. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and but it's time for me to move on. That's about it.
Yeah, we're sad to see you go, Aerithert, and you're always available back on the show whenever you want to come on.
I shall indeed. Hope to make an appearance or two. Yep.
And before you go, one of the things we do with our guests, you're already a guest now.
You just got Guessified.
I got into Tolkien by
One of the things we always do with our retiring hosts is actually ask them, some of their favorite moments and just kind of reminisce for a little bit. And because we don't do that often enough. And so, Arthur, what's your favorite moment from being on the show? Or what are you taking away from it most, do you think?
There's taking away from it most is friendships. For those who don't already know, I like I said, I'm planning a wedding. It's my wedding. Like I'm marrying Becca in 56 days, I think. Not that I'm counting down or anything, but the fact that I'm not just planning a wedding, but like we sent invitations out the other day, and like my co-hosts here were like, y'all are on the list, Finally, you never did get your address to me, but that's okay. But the fact that this show got me friends that I would never have had otherwise. I've hung out with Carv in real life. Maven's coming to town comparatively soon. I'm going to hang out with her. Like, it's the friendships is the best part. That and breaking Pine Leaf as often as humanly possible. Forcing Andang to kind of move the show along while it's still appropriate for young ears. And having Maven and Terry Adwin be an absolutely wonderful laugh track for over a year. It's been great. So, but yeah, I don't really think I can't pick like favorite memories. I think Holly Hornblower's laxative pies had to have been a highlight of my creative career.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, I mean, just the parts that I enjoy about it aren't necessarily like my favorite segment. You guys, is the store sales? Like, no. Although I would really love to get a Down with Bears podcast name at some point. And it has yet to happen. Down with Bears. We can make it an option for today. But yeah, it's human relationships, really. Or dwarven relationships in the case of wow.
Yeah.
I'm
Ever's
still
last wish. That's depressing now.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm still having giggles every now and again about, hello, I'm the dwarf your dwarf could smell like.
Oh,
That was
good.
hello,
brilliant.
dwarf ladies. Look at your dwarf. Now back to me. Now back at your
Yes.
dwarf. Now back to me.
Yes.
Sadly, he isn't me. Yeah.
Brilliance. Absolute brilliance.
That was fun. So, enough
times.
depressingness. Unless y'all have like immediate other memories. Oh, and for Tales of the Free Folk, dual wielding shields. Once I realized that was a loophole in the rules that I could do, where it didn't say you couldn't dual wield shields, I was like, hashtag happening, Captain America, but 2 times as good. Maxing
I
out.
have a feeling there's a point though where, let's face it, just because the rules don't disallow it.
Oh well, absolutely. It was terrible and entirely lore breaking. But when you max out an athletics modifier and you can get away with it, and you can kind of bend it so it works, it's like, okay, let's see, why not? It was fun, even if it did drive Andang up a wall sometimes. Sorry, Andang.
I was fine with it. I think it was Pineleaf and Gray that got annoyed by it.
Most likely.
I was never the one that put you in the sack. Remember that.
Oh, dang.
Ooh. Anything else to add before we continue with our weekend Lotro?
Terry Adwin, what'd you do?
Well, man, that's a tough act to follow. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Now would have been a good time for, like, if it wasn't for that, now Maven would be talking about running around with a depressed dwarf. And this hadn't, like, no, it worked. Yeah, sorry.
My hunter, Alistrio, got her report to Dol Amroth because it discovered that I had actually just focused on the epic in Western Gondor with her and didn't max out the rep. Because I'm thinking that it's like every other hunter port and you can get it at acquaintance. No, you have to be friends with Dol Amroth to get that port. So I went back and finished some quests and I went back and finished the quest and got some port and checked the milestone. And it turns out that you can use the milestone in Dol Amroth at level 85, which means that you can be ported to Dol Amroth at level 85. So I sent a message to Sanswinda and asked her if she would like to come see Dol Amroth, and we did a walking tour of the city. We actually walked through the city and toured it, and it was kind of fun.
That's cool.
I've actually been questing with her quite a bit this week, because my other champion started Volume 3 with a couple of companions, Sanswinda's alt, Morcali, and Trisha's alt, Maisie Day, discovered that Pineleaf is not the only squishy warden player in the game.
What? There's another?
Yeah,
Maisie Day. Oh my God, I just
you know that,
it was
that
awful.
painful instance where we have to sit through Calenglad and Gwyndeath and that painful relationship thing? Well, in order to get there, you first have to fight your way through a bunch of team robbers and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, Morcali is a minstrel. She's totally fine. Just yells and stuff. Maybe I think 3 times is the most she had to, I think maybe once she had to actually play her instrument in addition to yelling at it a couple of times. And then other champion is champion. You know, it might take him a little bit longer to power through stuff because he's got a 2-handed weapon, so he's like super slow compared to Terry. But champion, nothing kills him. He's just and done. And then Maisie's like, "Oh, I died."
Took me 3
oh,
times.
No.
It took me 3
3
times.
tries.
3 tries.
3 tries. Because she apparently, I don't know, maybe she got a little overconfident, or
Well, it was when I pulled 3. Yeah, I mean, by the
It's
third
the
time, it's like I
downside
figured
of-
out how to pull. It's like I had to selectively pull. If I had 2 guys, I could do it. But if I ended up with 3, and if one of them was a captain for sure, I mean, I was running around. I was out running into Calenglad, trying to see if Calenglad would, like help me. But finally, the 3rd time, I finally did it right. I picked them off like 1, 2 at a time, and just went really carefully. But I'm actually going to redo my Gambit skill bars and see if I can't improve my performance. As long as I had the minstrel around, I was fine. But boy, put me on my own, and
yeah, it's sort of the downside of having those solo only quests in the middle of regular quests, because you can get help with all of the other stuff, and then all of a sudden you have to be by yourself. So I
and
really
actually,
kinda wish that
Calenglad was quite helpful when he was fighting.
yeah, when he was fighting, but when he leaves you, when he leaves you to go clear out those ruins, forget it. He's done.
And you can't ignore any of it. You have to kill every mob in that room to get the instance to go forward. It's like, can I leave anybody out? Nope. You got to kill them all. I'm like,
Yeah, but the idea is make sure that the ones who are doing the patrol, that you wait till they're far away, then you take care of the ones that are nearby.
right. And you get those guys who are on patrol by themselves.
Yeah,
You don't get them with, because
Yes.
those actually have.
Those are
They're
signatures.
bigger. They're signatures, yeah. And that was my mistake the first 2 times. Was I wasn't picking them off and isolating and then going after the guys. And finally, the 3rd time, I'm like, oh, I see what I need to do. Okay.
Yeah, see, I don't have that problem because champion.
Oh,
powers
yeah.
through it.
It's like, you just go in the room, you call them all together at once, and you just go shing shing and boom, and then
Yeah,
you get to watch
pretty much.
Calenglad and what's her name. have
Well,
the-
actually, not Xing Shing because he's in Redline.
Oh, that's right. He's in real life. Oh, okay.
He's just all kinds of power. You do that devastating strike and stuff just
Oh,
dies.
right. Yeah. Well.
And then the other thing I've been doing is some Wildemore questing with my Runekeeper, because Sanswinda's never done it before, and keeping her company as she goes through it for the first time is actually really awesome. It's always fun to explore the content with, that you've done even more than once with somebody who's never done it before, because you kind of look at stuff in ways that you wouldn't necessarily have noticed the 3rd or 4th or 5th time through. And then the other thing too is you can kind of point them in the direction so they'll notice what they're supposed to, and don't skip over things. And then the story actually makes sense instead of, 5 chapters and half a book later you're like, oh wait, I guess I never finished that story, huh? Well, I guess that's how it ended. So yeah, making sure she actually manages to complete all of that is a lot of fun. So Carve, what'd you do?
Went to Lone Light Gorge for the first time on level with a 3-man group, as it was, quote, intended. Solo to Spider. Yay.
got wrecked by trolls. Boo. Um, I was like, I'm a pretty powerful redline champion. Spiders were not bad. The trees, a little bit more difficult. Those trolls, man, they got that momentum buff that stacks, and they wreck you.
Whack.
Yeah, exactly. And then getting hit by 3 of them at once, and then a
Ouch.
4th. Yeah, it was. I was thankful for Yellow Line Bird debuffs that round after like the 3rd or 4th wipe. But yeah, it's a challenging area when you're on level. I really enjoyed that. That was for a while. It's one of the more challenging things I've done with the group on Tuesdays. And speaking of challenge, I'm really enjoying playing the game with floaty names turned off.
Wait, doesn't everybody?
A lot of people play with floating names on.
I
I
usually
play
keep
with
them
the
on,
names
but they're a
on.
lot of fun off.
Yeah, I've actually gotten to the point where I'm just kind of consciously turning it off if it's on, because with all of the new frills in the lower level zones, plus some of the darker zones where you just can't see mobs, it's really fun. I'm even getting to the point where I might even turn off that little red indicator in the minimap. So I'm just kind of walking around, because you do something like the Old Forest or like the darker parts of the Red Horn Lodes, yeah, where there's like very little light, and you're just kind of like, is that a critter? Yeah, it's a critter. It's a lot of fun, like, because I know that I was running through the Old Forest, and my dwarf has got like eye level with the bushes, and so I'm like, okay, running along, wolf, or bats, spiders. It's just a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. So, Pine Leaf, how was your week?
I was going to say real quick, you can also hide your radar behind your chat, because you can never actually turn your radar entirely off. But you can hide it behind your chat and kind of make your chat opaque and run around without a radar. That's fun too.
See, I don't mind so much the radar. I just kind of like the idea of not having the little red dots to tell me where the mobs are, and I almost kind of want to just not use tab targeting either, just to see, because it's like, oh, there's a mob here with this huge orange halo under it, but if you don't tab target stuff until you actually have to because it's attacking you, there's like, my lore master got into a couple of really rocky spots this morning when I was playing down the Red Horn Lodes, because I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, there's an orc there, I'm going to get him. Holy crap, I didn't see those 2 guys in the shadow. This is not good. But yeah, exactly. So for the second time, Pine Leaf, how was your week?
All right. We'll begin on Arkenstone, where in my Friday group, where as part of the Academy field trip, I have been doing quests with Sazwinda, and she's been getting around quite a bit, I see. And we went into Enidwythe, where we fought some salamanders, and then went to Ostfarad. Now, at one point, someone was asking me, "Oh, Pineleaf, is that a new mount you're riding?" And I was riding the same mount that I've been riding for quite a number of months. I've not changed mounts on that character. So, of course, I said no. Then a little bit later, I hit Kindred with the Horns of Annuminus, and so the first thing I went and did was to go and buy the rep horse. So for the rest of the session, I am running around on the rep horse, and nobody noticed. Then on my Bjorning, I started in Eastern Gondor, finished up a couple of quests in Peligir, and then went to Eastern Gondor and doing the very early quests there. And then on Brandywine, it's been a few weeks since I've played on Brandywine, but I got back to my Brandywine Warden, and I'm working on my skirmish encounter deeds, since that's my big goal right now on Brandywine, is to finish that up.
Actually, that reminds me, Pineleaf, I need to get your help to do Thangalad on Cherry on Landy at some point. I discovered I've only completed one encounter in Thangalad.
Oh, and you have trouble with Thangalhot?
I have trouble with the encounters in Thangalad. I don't have trouble with the instance itself. It's just the timing for the encounters.
Oh, yes, because of the timing of the encounter, so you need a little work. Okay, so you need to arrange a...
I need to arrange some skirmishing with Pineleaf.
Okay.
She is going to arrange a Pine Leaf consult. That will be 2 pies for the initial session and 1 pie each additional half hour thereafter.
We could do the slot that we used to have been doing stuff on Tuesdays that we could do skirmish sessions in then.
Yeah, not this week, but cause
Oh, okay.
I think Brannick is still going to have this week available for ESO.
Oh, we had to double check with Brannick. If he's not, then we could do it.
He's in the chat, actually.
Oh, okay.
And live on the podcast, the LOTRO Players
Live on
News
the
people
podcast.
I was
actually
gonna say, why are we doing
scheduled
this
their...
live on the podcast? No, let me check my calendar. Just a minute. I'll be back.
This is what
For all the
happens.
rest of you
guys,
people,
because
this is real life. This is what's happening right now. For your
I don't
listening
have any
pleasure.
Other good way to contact Pineleaf because I don't use any of the other stuff that Pineleaf uses for messaging.
Oh, I
This
usually
is-
use Discord.
This
Yeah,
is the
I don't
only
use
time to
Discord for
catch Pine
messaging.
Leaf. That's
All right.
great. That was great.
Very well. Let's head into news beyond LOTRO, where we have some listing of some lost recordings from J.R.R. Tolkien.
Shoot you, Andy.
So you got- yeah,
Andy, you want to talk
Yeah.
about
I
that?
thought Aerother was an
Aerother,
Well,
go for
okay,
it. You
I
got it in.
thought it was Maven. Okay.
No.
Basically,
I'll be the
That's the
color.
hot potato.
basically
Fucking
back in 1968, there was a BBC film on Tolkien, and he gave an interview for it. And as per usual with interviews, they only use snippets of it. But BBC is kind of releasing some of the archived audio, some of the audio, some of the footage of it, which is kind of cool because it's basically footage that very few people in the world have ever seen or listened to or whatever of Tolkien. I haven't had a chance to go through it myself, but I want to, and it may be happening in the next 24 hours because I only found out about it today.
Well,
Sorry.
So I'll be the color man on this one. So it's about a 55. I listened to it actually live on BBC 4 last Saturday, and now and they released it within 15 minutes, in a podcast form. It's about just under an hour program. It's narrated in kind of interesting style by a man by the name of Joss Ackland, who I guess was Gandalf in one of the radio dramatizations of The Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
And they also interview various the guy who actually did I think it's the guy who actually did the production of the documentary back in those days. I think he's really the main guy talking about going into the vault and finding these snippets and kind of putting it all together. And then there's a couple people who happen to be faculty members at Signum University, yay, who comment, who are really well-known Tolkien scholars comment on it. And the thing that's neat about it, there's some really interesting pieces to it that they comment. In fact, I asked Corey, I said, Corey Olson, it would be fun. I don't think he's listened to it yet, and it would be fun for him to listen to it and then maybe do a little session on it at some point. If he does do that, you'll find out about it here on LOTRO Players. But there's some kind of new stuff and things that Tolkien responds to and questions that is new, and apparently it's not all. One of the people who was the commentators said that actually there's more to it, but she can't share it because she's under non-disclosure. So I'm hoping maybe there will be more of these outtakes, show up over time. So I think if you're at all a lore hound, it's definitely worth a listen. And we have the URL in the show notes, right, or somewhere. So highly recommended. I'm done.
Very well. And in Saturn news, Glenn Yarbrough had passed away on Thursday, and he did the vocals for the songs on the Rankin Bass version of The Hobbit.
Yeah, so he's the guy of
The
the road it goes ever on, like that. And he also sang the Frodo of the Nine Fingers song in the Return of the King 1980 animated version.
Oh, man, that's a good song.
Yeah, so I feel like we just need to end this with that Billy Boyd Last Goodbye song. Jeez.
Yeah.
Start passing out tissues.
You should
You
sort of
might
actually
have to. And this week's LOTRO Players News is brought to you by Tissues.
Hobbit hankies. Monogram
Oh,
for your...
God. I was like, what's happening now?
Hey, well, we have decided that we will be discontinuing the questions in the dark, and we'll head straight into donations.
More sad news. Oh my goodness.
Because that would be the
Not
only person
sad
asking
news for
questions.
me.
But yeah, we are actually ending that segment and also the moot of the week because basically all of us were starting to get bored with the segments, and so we decided that we would end them before we became too bored that we started getting really burnt out just on the show in general. So
All right, did you have something to say, Terry?
No, I was saying that I'm not sad about
Oh, okay.
questions.
it's happy news for her.
No, it's
It's
happy news
not
for me
more
because I
than
didn't
a
like that
match.
segment to begin with. But except, well, now I miss my nap. So
Yes, but you'll get a nap afterwards because you'll get to... We currently have 27 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or if you be a guest with us here on LOTRO Players News. This week, we do not have any reviews, but we do have a featured comment from Typos.
Yeah. Carve, do you have a
Yeah.
good old man voice?
Sure.
Go for it.
You want? Okay. Now,
Yeah.
now
go do it.
let me set the stage. This is a supposed interview between Tolkien and a guy.
This is a comment on the poll.
Yes,
of the
about
week.
whether or not Tolkien approves of said LOTRO game.
Who wants to be the guy?
I'll be the guy. Yeah.
Okay, so I have not listened to Tolkien specifically, but I will fake it as best as I can. So here we go. Let me recapitulate. This machine is a modern computer. LOTRO is a computer game.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Okay, so this LOTRO is based on my books. This online, is that there because we're on the internet? A machine for simulations, as you say?
Yes. Well, it is a game, but there's real people with you right now.
What is a hobbit present? Now, I have some type of armor. I cannot understand the origin.
It's just a random gift, sir.
I think this is a dwarf with a long beard. Let's talk with him. Interesting. He repeats some lines and offers me a ring over his head. Actually, there are rings everywhere.
No. I mean, yes, he and the other characters have missions, the rings.
I need to recover his shield from a group of goblins. Interesting. Childish lines. Ha!
Ooh, test my war steed.
Ah, you have a big horse, and what type of horse is this? Oh my God! He is colliding with everything.
Calm down. Click to stop, sir.
So when everything moves in a strange way, we are under some lag, a spell, I suppose.
No, this is just part of Gondor and a few other places.
Lag. I never wrote at a character or location called lag.
Oh. Yeah.
Acted out for your earness, for your ear canals,
Ear
as
holes.
written. Your ear holes, yeah.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure Tolkien did sound like that because the places I've heard him didn't have quite the old man voice, but I didn't have a reference before this, so.
Yes. Well, most of the interviews I heard concerning Tolkien recordings were, I would say, more middle-aged than old-age parts
Yeah.
of his life.
And he talked
Like
really
the one-
fast.
Like the one where he talked about going to the tobacconist. Now, many people know that the tobacconist is a place in England where... But yeah.
We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@lotroplayers.com. You could also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, Lotro Players @LotroPlayers, Andang @PVMP_Andang, Arathert @Arathert, Carvet @CarvetLP, Maven @Tolkien Maven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf News, and Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin. The Players Alliance has 5 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have BO Players News. On Thursdays at 9:30-ish p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. On the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Academy After School. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Player News, and every other Saturday after LOTRO Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk, returning on August 27th. You join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and farewell, Arithert, and have a good wedding.
Thank you.
Everyone
Shall
else,
be missed.
thanks for listening. This is Piney Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.